Okay, so hello everyone, welcome to another episode of AI and Oats, which is my daily show where I answer questions about AI and comment on AI news articles. But firstly, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Alistair. This is my YouTube channel where I teach people how to use Claude Code and Codex for knowledge work. But I also run an AI consulting and training business called Ducks. And if you'd like us to work with you to see how you can fit AI into your business and implement it to increase revenue, then please feel free to book a call through the link in the description. I also have a school community where I share even more detail about kind of my Claude Code skills and systems and everything like that. And if you're interested in that, equally the link is in the description. But now that those preliminaries are out of the way, let's jump into the questions for today. So basically the way this works is during the day I have a Codex automation that scours the web and various forums and finds interesting questions and news articles about AI, puts them into this deck, and then I come back and I answer them. Faster coding agent than Codex and Claude Code. Oh, so apparently someone has built something faster than Codex and Claude Code. Well, I haven't actually tried this out myself, to be honest. I think there's a lot of scope, I guess, is what I'm saying, to be faster than certainly Claude Code and Codex too, as well, if you're going to run it on like high or extra high on Sol or something. Just in terms of how you can speed them up within Codex and Claude Code, if you want. You could use fast mode in both of them. I think Claude Code fast mode is going to cost you API token, like you're going to have to pay API pricing. But on Codex you can use it in your plan. If you want to do tasks faster and they don't need to happen sequentially, then you can use parallel subagents. That's one thing. Use the dumbest model you can that is sufficient for your task, if that makes sense. So you don't necessarily need to run Claude Code or Codex on extra high if your task is fairly simple, because the higher the effort level and the thinking level, the more kind of potential opportunities it's going to explore and consider, which obviously I guess means it's going to come to a kind of more considered answer and reason in more detail, but that is going to take longer. So if it's a simple thing, then use a cheaper model or use a lower effort level. Also, I don't know, some of the Chinese models are quite fast as well. Not all of them though. I know Kimi K3 is extremely slow, but I feel like it's DeepSeek V4 Flash or something. There was a big sort of, news article is maybe an overstatement, but some excitement around that the other day, because I feel like on a kind of pricing, in terms of cheapness and speed and quality, that combo, I feel like DeepSeek V4 Flash really wins out quite significantly there. I haven't tried it much myself, but I get the sense people are fairly positive about it. Right, on to the next item. Does Claude Code get better the more you use it, or is it just how well you set it up? I'd argue that is somewhat... I don't necessarily want to call it a false dichotomy, but I feel like ultimately Claude Code gets better with a better setup, and a better setup comes as you use it more. Claude Code will learn, not kind of officially learn, but it will develop its memory, its auto memory. If you're having it keep a bank of known issues as a markdown file or something along those lines, it will learn how to do those things. As you use it more and more, you'll probably find kind of what MCP servers you're using most often, and so you'll have those set up. As the longer you use Claude Code, in all likelihood, the more skills or kind of relevant skills you'll have, and you'll become better at making skills, and you'll kind of work out the process of when you want to create a skill better. So I feel like there's quite a lot of kind of user learning for getting better at using Claude Code, which is different to just having a good setup. I think ultimately it kind of comes down to having a good setup and how well you set it up, but I'd say that is a skill to learn to some extent, is how to set it up well, and then how to know how to use that good setup well. So I'd say there is kind of a compounding element to using Claude Code, and the same applies to Codex. The longer you use it, as long as you keep it in check often, in terms of, I mentioned this yesterday, but auditing skills that are potentially old every now and then, or cleaning up your Claude.md, just having a look, making sure it's not got too big or anything like that. So as long as you kind of keep it up to scratch and maintain it, I'd say that there is benefit to having a longer kind of career in Claude Code. Career is not quite the right word, but you know what I mean, a longer kind of backlog of usage. I feel like that does compound, even just in terms of like personal learning. I feel like you get more familiar, you understand, you know, how to marshal it, or, you know, when should you stop a task and redirect it, that sort of thing. When do you want to use the different effort levels? When, you know, do you want to use a loop? Do you want to use a goal? Do you want to start a new session now? How's the context window faring? Do you want to compact? You know, all these sorts of things I feel like are just things that you learn over time, and you can learn them conceptually, but the longer you spend actually implementing them, the more confident you feel with them, and that leads to better outcomes. So I'd say it's not really necessarily one or the other. I'd say both the setup and the experience are beneficial. What's one marketing investment that consistently brings you customers? Well, I won't necessarily it's not like I've poured lots of money into marketing personally, but I will say in terms of some interesting marketing concepts I've come across using Claude Code or Codex, since that's what this channel is about. And so in terms of like ones I've done myself is like set up a loop that runs once a week, which is like an SEO loop. Actually, it's a kind of general discoverability loop of like SEO, AEO, that sort of thing, social media presence, but it's mainly for SEO and AEO. And the idea is it kind of monitors like website discoverability in just on Google and in like LLM, you know, answer engines rather, and then audits the website and decides how it could improve it, and then makes those improvements, and then reflects on whether that has worked or not, and therefore learns based on that. So that's what makes it kind of a self-learning loop. I haven't had that running for that long, so I can't necessarily comment entirely on the efficacy of it, but I feel like conceptually it seems like a good idea, and it's very easy to set up and is essentially, you know, free. So it's not really a marketing investment per se, but I think it's an interesting marketing idea. I guess it's not something I've done, but I would say applying the same sort of thing to meta ads, you know, with, if you create a loop that maybe you connect it to Higgsfield or something like that, which is a kind of image and video generation MCP, you could have it generate kind of like AI videos that look like organic UGC. I mean, that's not necessarily going to work. I guess that depends whether you're like a D2C business or a B2B business, because it's going to work better probably for like, you know, D2C. But you can generate those sorts of like AI videos and then have some kind of marketing agent or marketing loop run them. Or maybe actually, if you're being pedantic about it, you'd call it like a marketing graph, given that there's a kind of generation point and then also like publication point and then a monitoring point. So, you know, but anyway, whatever you want to call it, some kind of automated thing that will run these, reflect on which ones worked well, and then improve based on that. Likewise, setting up something like an automated thing that's going to connect to like Apollo MCP or some kind of scraper like Firecrawl or SERP API or Appify, and get like, I don't know, scrape Google Maps or something like that, scrape for like local businesses, or just not necessarily local businesses, but like scrape for businesses who would be your ICP. Then using like the Apollo MCP or something, get email addresses for those, have Claude Code or Codex as a kind of, you know, loop, like use Firecrawl or something to scrape the websites of the businesses you find, get the information about them, write a tailored message, but actually have a skill that has exemplary cold email so that it's got good compelling copy and also avoids sounding like AI, and that sort of thing. And then you can automate the generation of those messages. I mean, given how easy it is to make simple websites and that sort of thing, you can also just automate like remaking a sample of someone's homepage to show how they could improve it. Like maybe you connect the Higgsfield MCP and give it a better kind of visual design depending on what the business does, and that sort of thing. And then you can just send that in the email as well, connect it to Instantly, and Claude Code or Codex can set up the cold email campaign on Instantly. And so you can essentially get this process like, either you can just run it all, kind of do it all in Claude Code through the MCPs and you never really have to leave, or you can even go to the point where it's going to automate it in Claude Code and that sort of thing. So that's another kind of Claude Code Codex marketing application thing. Again, not like a huge monetary investment. Yes, probably a little bit of time in terms of getting the skills set up, connecting all the MCPs. I suppose if you scaled it, there would be a monetary investment in terms of like paying for Apollo credits, paying for Firecrawl credits, whatever, that sort of thing. And I mean just paying like token usage for Claude Code and Codex, but it won't be super high, I would imagine. So I guess that's some stuff. I mean, you could also do a similar thing in terms of just like regardless of what content like probably you would argue that pretty much all small business owners or all small businesses should be doing some form of content. I know that's what someone like Gary Vee would say. With Claude Code and Codex now, it's extremely easy to take one form of content, let's say it's a newsletter, let's say it's a YouTube video, or whatever, and then like repurpose it as Instagram carousels, LinkedIn posts, X threads or X articles. You can just kind of repurpose all that content, and I feel that as long as the kind of novel ideas are coming from you, the content doesn't feel particularly AI generated or anything, because the concepts are human generated, and then AI really just handles the sort of plumbing of finding the right tone of voice per different channel. And again, you can set up a kind of get an example and then just have it like loop over, having a sub-agent review what Claude Code or Codex is creating in terms of the new content versus that exemplary piece, and until they're pretty much on par, it will just keep looping and improving. And yeah, maybe it won't be perfect the first couple of times, maybe it won't be absolutely perfect and ready to go automatically, but what would have been in the past, maybe hours of repurposing content and posting it to all these different platforms could probably be shortened to milli minutes of kind of proofreading, making slight edits. And then again, the beauty of like browser automation or different MCP tools, depending on what you're using, Claude Code or Codex can then also go handle the publishing of that new content on those different platforms. So that's the thing. Certainly I think that before we know it, just generally, like everyone will basically just be working out of one screen, which will be Claude Code or Codex or some sort of equivalent agent management platform, and you won't really, as a person, need to use any kind of software or tools yourself. Those will just be for your agent to use. Like, you won't be using spreadsheets, you won't need to go post something on LinkedIn, your agent will just go post it on LinkedIn. You won't need to go into video editing software, your agent will just go make the edits, bring them back to you, discuss it with you, that sort of thing. So you're only ever in Codex, Claude Code, whatever agent management platform you have. That's where I see everything going. Went on a little bit of a tangent there, but hopefully some interesting and perhaps useful marketing ideas relating to Claude Code and Codex there. Does everyone on your team use a different AI tool? How do you deal with it? Well, I'm the only person on my team for this, so can't really answer that. What I will say in terms of using different AI tools, because I do use both Claude Code and Codex and Hermes Agent a little bit, I mean, I think the key is really making sure that you build up what I would argue you should call your AI operating system. But perhaps that's a bit of a buzzword, and what I mean simply is kind of a very good like file structure that has an agents.md, has a persistent like tasks.md, has a kind of structured documentation system. If you want, that's going to be kind of self-maintaining, but all of these things are clearly signposted somewhere, how the documentation works, the skills are clearly saved and that sort of thing. So that way all you really have to do is take some agent, whether it's Claude Code, whether it's Codex, work in that folder with it, and it has full understanding, full context, it understands your systems and that sort of thing. So I think really the key is actually just getting well organized folders and markdown files and that sort of thing, and then it's really just sort of, I don't know, plug and play with the different agents, and it should work. And it's just sort of personal preference as to which agent do you like for what. And yeah, that's what I find with my setup, is it's very easy to work between Codex and Claude Code because of the kind of persistent tasks.md and that sort of thing. They understand what the other one is doing, and everything like that. And I find that works pretty well. It's like my own little team of employees between Codex and Claude Code. But yeah, I'd say it really comes down to the filing system, or generally speaking, the contextual environment that you set up for the AI within which it works. Because getting the correct, proper context is really what makes the difference in terms of working with these AI tools, in my opinion. Alright, so that will probably wrap it up for today. Hopefully some of that was useful. If you did enjoy, please feel free to subscribe. And yeah, just to mention again, if you'd like to work with me to see how AI can fit into your business, or if you'd like me to coach you one-on-one to help you build out your AI operating system, exactly the sort of thing I was just mentioning with all those files and that sort of thing for Codex or Claude Code, please feel free to get in touch through the link in the description. And equally, if you'd like to join our school community, again, that's in the description. Thanks very much for watching, everyone, and I will catch you for another episode tomorrow. Goodbye.